I first joined the Obama campaign in Chicago in May of 2007, so 12 years ago. But the funny thing about a campaign is, the the Senator Obama at the time was never in Chicago, right? He was out campaigning everywhere. So the first time I met him was almost 2 years later in the White House. Yeah, I mean, I think he was in headquarters maybe 3 times during the campaign. So I think the first time I met him was maybe the second day on the job in January of 2009. And it was in the Oval Office, which is like the greatest home court advantage in the world. You walk in there and you can't help but thinking like, holy shit, your mouth goes dry. And it happens to everybody. But he was calm and already felt right at home 2 days into it. He's just like, hey, I just wanted to meet you. I've seen your name on speeches for the last couple of years and I've never actually gotten to hang out with you. And I'm just like, but we bonded a little bit over, we're both Chicagoans. I'm a North Sider Cubs fan, he's a South Sider Sox fan. And after that I walked out and it was kind of like Will Ferrell in Old School. I asked somebody, I was like, what happened? I blacked out. We developed a good working relationship over time and I still work for him 12 years later. When you're a grown up out in the world, right, you don't know who's a Sigma Chi or not. You just kind of stumble upon it. But one of our counterterrorism advisors at the White House, I think probably about a year into our relationship, we both figured out we were Sigma Chi's. Our Secretary of Labor, Tom Perez, was Sigma Chi. So those are relationships that I try to cultivate and still, I just had dinner with the counterterrorism advisor on Sunday and try to hang out with those guys as much as I can. I was fortunate enough to go on Horizons after my sophomore year, which changed the way I thought about myself in a lot of ways. I hadn't had any leadership training before that. And to put yourself in a difficult situation, to have people who've been there before teaching you like when to speak up, right? When to lead, when to shake off your fear of being the first person to say something or do something. That's something that everybody eventually learns over time, but to actively and proactively teach undergraduates that skill, I think is really important. But one of the things that we did, and the guys that I gravitated to, was we pushed each other constantly to be a better version of ourselves. And one of the great gifts of Sigma Chi is that I'm still on a text chain today with 5 other guys who I hung out with in school 20 years ago. And 2 of them are surgeons. 2 of them started major corporations. One of them started a nonprofit that's helped thousands of kids in New York City. Every single one of them is a devoted husband and father and family man. And if you'd have told me that back in 1998, 1999, I wouldn't have believed you. These are the guys you're going to be surrounded with for decades. This doesn't just end when you get out of here. I mean, you're going to be standing next to these guys at their weddings. You'll be at funerals, and you'll keep in touch forever.